The greatest racket you can buy has been upgraded.
Yes, we have the brand new Yonex Ezone 98 Tour version 8.
It might not be the one that you've been waiting for. It is certainly the racket that I've been waiting for. I cannot wait to try it. Let's go. So the new Ezone, this is the 98 Tour. It comes with a new set of tech.
Yeah, so before we go too far though, this is Joe's actual racket. This is the racket Joe has been using, and the purpose today is to see whether this racket, the new version, is better than the old and whether he's actually going to want to swap it or not. And Yonex have been busy trying to convince you, haven't they?
They have, yes. So they have added some new tech to this to try and convince me that I should buy the new one.
Yes, all for you.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, not Nick Kyrgios, Joe Worley.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So we've got 4 key things that have changed. We have a longer top of frame. Now this extends the sweet spot. We've extended and made the sweet spot 1% bigger.
Which is an already massive sweet spot because of the isometric head shape.
Yeah, so there you go.
You need that, Joe, don't you?
We're getting heckled off camera.
I know, fantastic.
We also have a thicker top of racket. Now this is designed to give a bit more power, and the new Ezone promises 4.8% more power. Again, helpful for you, right?
It's now starting to feel a bit like a hit piece, but it's all right, we can always review the footage and see who struck the ball better when playing tennis today.
And finally, for a little bit more flex and a bit more comfort, we have a tapered inner frame, which is going to give us 6% more flex and feel into overall.
Yeah, and that means more dwell time, it means more ball pocketing, which is, I mean, more dwell time on top of a racket is already fantastic. Boy, Yonex have listened to me and they're going to do the things that I want.
Yes, and most importantly, now you were really adamant you wanted worms to be involved in the manufacture of the racket.
When I last spoke to them, Yonex, I suggested that some sort of worm fibres that worms were creating would be really beneficial in terms of a plush feel.
And would you believe it? Yonex went away, they got some bagworms, and they have created Minolon. Now Minolon is a super soft, super silky, really tiny fibre that they have woven into a net and placed in the shaft either side of the graphite, like inside the main core of the racket. And again, this is for feel and comfort, designed to give you more confidence when using a power frame.
Yes. Aside from that, all the specs are the same across the two rackets. We've got the 16x19 pattern, obviously. We've got 320mm balance point. We've got 315 gram static weight. Both these rackets are strung with Polytour Pro. Happy birthday to Polytour Pro, by the way. And these are at 52 pounds of tension.
Did you get Polytour Pro a present?
No, I can't decide between a crystal ball and a sort of chandelier.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crystal anniversary.
Here we go.
Let's get on court and try them out. I cannot wait. Yes, what a joy it was. We've just come off court playing with the new Ezone 98 Tour version 8. Your first impressions first, and then I'll get to mine.
Yeah, my first impression is not a racket I particularly like. It's growing on me, or the old version was growing on me, but we've had a significant shift because the new version is a much nicer racket, in my humble opinion. Now, the important question though, Joe, your first thoughts?
So I think my initial thoughts on it are that they are very, very similar. It seems like very little has changed except for that feel.
Yes.
It feels slightly flexible. It feels like there's more dwell time. It feels more plush, like being draped in velvet, as George Costanza would say. That is the major difference. And in that sense, for me, it's an upgrade, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. The feel is the one thing that has most significantly changed. Now, we have done other videos on the whole Ezone range, the 100 and the 98, and interestingly, that power increase was more noticeable on those other frames.
Yes.
These two, the 98 Tours, don't feel like they've changed as much, and the ball characteristics that we were achieving seemed more sort of similar, but it just felt different whilst doing it.
Yes.
And for me, that's a big upgrade because that's the one thing I didn't like about the old one was the feel. So, yeah, I would say a big tick.
Yeah, I think, and we'll get to it, I think it plays much less like a traditional power racket.
Which is probably why I like it, yeah.
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 All right, let's get into our categories. First up, power.
Yeah, like we said, I think the new version takes it, but not by as much.
Yeah.
So Yonex promised 4.8%. That feels about right, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In the others, it felt like more than that, but...
And I think there's more, because the sweet spot is larger, it feels like there are fewer mishits, and so you're sort of regularly getting more power.
Yes.
And that's really cool.
Yes. Who's going to complain about always getting better power and better depth? It's only going to help, right?
And in terms of spin,
A very good spin rack for a power frame. It is a very good spin racket, but I wouldn't say there's a significant difference between the two.
no, if I was desperately wanting more spin out of my racket, I wouldn't be upgrading to this. I'd probably be upgrading to a V-Core.
Yes.
Something like
or
that.
an Ezone 100 is going to have more spin just because of the bigger head size.
Yeah, but so pretty much a wash on spin. In terms of control and precision, again, I'm going to say it's a wash. It's the same. I'm getting the same outcome, albeit slightly more depth with this.
Yeah, I'd say there's a slight drop in control, almost because it's inversely proportional to power. You can't have more power and more control necessarily. So, but again, it's minimal. It is.
Yeah.
The big difference, and the last category is comfort and feel, and that's where you really notice the difference.
Yes, you do. Touch and feel. So in terms of the way the racket feels on contact, it is a big change. There is no better word than plush. It's a word that I've used in lots of videos. If you go back and watch, and everyone sort of laughs at me. Yonex are now using it, much like the bagworm.
Yes.
It is much more comfortable. It feels much softer on the arm. It's too early to tell whether it's actually going to be kinder on my ailing body, but it certainly feels that way. It feels, like I said, and this was my point, it feels less like a traditional power racket. It's got more flex, it's got a sort of a little bit more guile. It seems to have sort of softened up without losing the characteristics that you loved, or I loved, in that version.
So just because it feels softer, that doesn't necessarily, it kind of transitions away from a power feel, which some players might not like. I like it because it makes it feel like a more all-rounder racket, which I kind of enjoy, and you like it because it's just a nicer feeling on contact.
Yeah.
But there'll be plenty of people who don't, and that's what's interesting.
Yes.
Okay, so a slightly different summary, because there is only one question, and that question is, Joe, which one do you want? Are you going to keep your old racket with all the history, all that joy you've experienced, or are you going to upgrade and go for the new one?
I need more play. I need more play time with the new one. I've been playing for a couple of years with that solidly and love it. My initial instinct was yes.
Yep.
Yeah, give it to me. It feels quintessentially an upgrade.
Yes, completely agree. It feels like a better tennis racket.
Yeah.
Whether it is or not is always personal preference. So, as usual, as always, we suggest you give it a try.
Yes.
If you're in the UK, you can come and give it a try from us. You can obviously buy them from us as well. Wherever you are in the world, do not buy a racket sight unseen. Get it in your hand. Only feeling is believing.
Yes. As always, don't forget to like, follow, share with your friends. Definitely subscribe so you never miss a thing from PH Tennis.
Thank you very much for watching.
I've just realised I've got to give this back to Yonex now.
I know.
Sad times.
Well,
Maybe
there's a lot.
I could
they won't
just.
notice. There's a lot there.
Do you think you can tell?